And now we're live.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, I'm going to hit record
Yay.
because I always forget.
So glad you all are here.
Welcome, everyone. I'm just going to check to make sure that we are.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, here we are.
Oh, love it. Technology.
I know.
So fun. Well, you guys, I know it hasn't updated for me yet, but I'm sure it will show up. Thanks, you guys, for coming. I think we've got at least like 40 some new people in the group that showed interest in wanting to learn more about what it looked like to be a partner or an affiliate with Trades of Hope. And it's kind of funny to do it in this setting because like Erin and I are total buds and have been for like 7 years. But we feel so like professional and like we're interviewing each other.
I know.
Like we literally message each other on the daily. So this
right.
is kind of,
and you could probably answer all these questions for me, but it is fun to like pretend
we're doing
like
this,
we're interviewing.
Yeah, to benefit all of you. And I love a good interview, if you know me. And Erin is a good interviewee. So
well, why don't you introduce yourself? You haven't said your name
yet.
Yes,
I haven't said who I am. So my name is Melanie Sanukian, and I'm also a national director like Erin with Trades of Hope. And this is my joy job. And I'm so grateful to be here. I've been doing it almost 7 years. And I do have a passion for like good conversation and interviewing and all of those things. And so when we suggested doing it this way, so you could really see the relationships we built in this sisterhood, we thought this would be such a fun way to do it. So I'm really excited to interview Erin. Erin, you want to say anything before we begin?
Yeah, no, I'm super excited. I have loved welcoming so many new people and new faces into our Learn About group. This group took a little bit of a hiatus last year, and I'm so excited for the new energy and going into this new year with these interviews each month. So we're going to do this every month, but change up who's interviewing who. So you'll get different perspectives, kind of, different hearts, even though I think you're going to see that there's a lot of similarity in the hearts, but a lot of differences in our lives and our whys and just and then how we kind of collide in this work at Trades of Hope. So I'm really excited. I can't wait for you to ask me all these good questions. Yay. I love talking about Trades of Hope.
I know. And our hope is that you'll find somebody in personality or passion or whatever that you identify with. And so it's going to be cool to hear their stories. So we'll start out, Erin, with really the basic question of what is your why? Why did you end up joining Trades of Hope?
Well, so, this requires a little bit of my story. So I'm coming up on my 10-year anniversary with Trades of Hope next in early March. And it's wild to think about a decade of my life has gone by. My children have literally grown up. Like when I started with Trades of Hope, I was walking away from a career that I absolutely loved as a high school English and theater teacher into a new life as a stay-at-home mom for the first time, doing that full time. And I had a baby and a toddler. Now my children are giant 10-year-old and 13-year-old. My 13-year-old literally just surpassed me in height now. It's like he grows every day. But at that time in my life, a decade ago, I was starting this new chapter. I was leaving work that I really felt like I was making a difference as a teacher and that it was my calling. And, a lot of Trades of Hope partners are teachers because it's that heartbeat, that desire, right? Melanie's a teacher. Like we want to contribute. We want to make the world a better place. And we're usually it's through a passion that we have. For me, it was literature and storytelling and the connection of people and humans. And I loved it. And so I entered into being a stay-at-home mom, and I was finding that I was super lonely. I was disconnected, not only from like my job, but just from the world. It felt isolating. And it's not like that desire to make a difference disappeared. And even though I knew, like in my brain and even in my heart, that what I was doing and raising my 2 babies was super important, was obviously contributing to making the world a better place. Sorry, my dog, as soon as I start talking on Zoom, she's like, "Ooh, what are we doing?" I still wanted to be connected to the bigger picture. And so probably the why for me for Trades of Hope was really about contribution and about, it was a Facebook picture or a Facebook post that flashed across my feed one day. And it was a really cute pair of earrings, which is something that I love. I love fashion and style. But then it said empowering women out of poverty. And I was like, what is that? Like, how are these two things connected and how can I learn more? And so I hosted a party. I fell in love with it and immediately saw it as this vehicle to contribute to, at that point, I barely knew what human trafficking was. I certainly knew what global poverty was. I was so intrigued by the idea of doing something from right where I was, as a stay-at-home mom with a baby and a toddler, to alleviate global poverty, and then to learn about human trafficking and how we could make a difference for the vulnerabilities of women. And I was like blown away from day one. And over the course of this decade, the ability to contribute in my limited life of stay-at-home momhood and being a volunteer and doing the things that I do, to be able to contribute to these big global issues is just awesome. And that continues to be why I do this every single day. I love it.
And the contribution piece is what you're going to hear as a theme throughout all of these interviews, because it really is what's drawn a lot of us in. And many of us have like hearts for that. And it's very specific things, like you earned a well for a village in India, or a goat, or chicks, or whatever it is. There's all these fun things that they even make sales incentives out of. And I was just telling somebody about it today. You actually feel like you're making a difference because it's very quantitative, and it's very, you can track it, all of the things. We all have postcards up on our walls in our offices of all the things we've been able to contribute. So it really is tangible and real in a way that I don't think stay-at-home moms thought they could do. So I love that option. Okay, so along with that, what was the first surprise benefit that you noticed once you did join Trades of Hope? Because sometimes our whys develop over time.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Yeah. I mean, it's definitely been an evolution, but very early on. So again, like I was a teacher. I knew I wasn't like making the big bucks, and really like, I wasn't contributing financially to my household income in a way that was like, I was able to quit my job. Right. But that didn't take away my desire to want to kind of contribute to the budget of our family, and kind of feel that income production. And my husband's amazing. He's been supportive since obviously day one. Girl, we are not doing this. And he never said like, yeah, you need to, if you're gonna go buy a pair of shoes, you need to justify it. Like there was never that, but it was just me. Like I just wanted to be able to do that. And so my business started slow, and I started, to earn a little bit. And then it was like, ooh, by that first Christmas, I was like, I've made enough money to essentially have covered Christmas, for my family as a stay-at-home mom with this little side gig business that I was doing. It was helping women around the world. And, and it was like, okay, well, if I can do that, like maybe I could do something else. And, maybe I could, I wanted to buy my family a piano. So that was something that was like really tangible, and I could do with the income from my business. And it just felt really good. Like, sometimes it's like I experienced this with our artisan partners too. Like, you don't want to take charity. Essentially, I don't want charity for my husband. I want to be the one that's providing these things for my family. And our artisans feel the same way. And there's that dignity piece to making an income and not having it be volunteer work too, and not having it be charity. And I've loved it. And watching my income grow over the past decade has been awesome. And to be able to give in extravagant ways. My husband and I love to make donations and do things, and we do it bigger and better than we would without Trades of Hope. And all of the things that we've been able to do with just a little less hesitation and a little more ease over these years has been amazing. And that's not something I planned necessarily for Trades of Hope to be like this real business with this real flexible income, but it can be. And it's been really fun to watch that kind of grow and develop over the years. And it's definitely something that I take a lot of like pride in, not in like a bad pride way, but like in a, independent woman pride kind of way,
Totally. I can testify that Erin's generosity is very humble. This is not a bunch of women that tout what they do and what they're able to. That's not who we are. we just love the dignified partnership. And in the same way that we want to earn our own income, so do our artisan partners. They don't want to rely on charity and all that stuff. And it feels good too to earn your own income. And I'm married to a teacher and with 4 kids, so we need the income. And that's been such a blessing too. My husband loves the beginning of every month when I get to, transfer over what I've earned and what my amazing team has done into our checking account to help pay for, we're just sending our 3rd kid through orthodontia, so those kinds of things. Like, I'm so grateful for it. And some of the other things that you can earn that I want to highlight that I'm pretty sure Erin did, but I know that I did. I actually hosted a party and earned the Join collection with a coupon. So you can use your hostess rewards to purchase the Join collection. And I basically earned it outright. Like, I hardly had to spend any money to join, which I like that they make it accessible, because they just want as many people as possible, no matter where you're coming from financially, to be able to join and do this good work. And then you get paid 25% commission instantly when you join as a partner with the Join collection. And so to be able to see that, I think now it's coming in within 24 hours or something as so we have people that are like, oh, I needed that for, my kid's gymnastics payment, or I need it, whatever it is. It's just awesome to have that opportunity to earn a flexible income while also earning some other fun things along the way as well. So,
and we do have 2 Join collections right now that are in the group. We've posted about them. One is $49 and one is $139, I believe. And then of course I shared the special bonus gift, the Laurel necklace or Liberty necklace, that's being just dropped ever so subtly into your Join collections. But this, you can't see it real well, it's really bright, but it's a beautiful purple lavender pressed flower necklace that's launching on Thursday as part of our next chapter. But that's going in your Join collection as just kind of we are really excited that you're part of this Invitation to Hope event bonus from our founders.
And and speaking of generous, our founders are super generous, and they're so we know them personally. We've traveled with them to visit our artisan partners. And every once in a while when we're like, hey, let's ask them if we can do a little extra something, they're so generous with it. They love giving. They're very generous women. So anyway, that was fun to find out. Like, she was like, sure, throw that extra one in. Okay. So, but keeping it real, this is a direct sales company, and everybody knows sales is hard, right? Especially what we just come through with COVID. So there's always challenges with these kinds of things, with anything really that you join in life, but certainly in sales. What were some of your first challenges and how did you overcome them?
So first of all, I almost didn't join as a partner. I almost didn't join Trades of Hope because I had done a direct sales business in my early 20s and had not a kind of a negative experience with it. A lot of feelings of like saying other people's words, and it was like kind of disingenuous, and I felt like I was losing friends and asking for things that were unrealistic. And it was just a really icky situation, which I think a lot of people have an experience, unfortunately, sometimes with a direct sales type business that just didn't go well. And that was my experience. And I wrote it off completely as an industry. I told my husband, like, don't ever let me sign up for something like this again. I even very hesitantly when I hosted my party, I was like, oh, sorry, the dog is jumping on my thing.
You just need to show Scout off. You just need to show off your dog at one point because she's one of your best.
So cute. I know. She's there she goes. She's laying down. But I almost didn't host. Like, I was at that point of like direct sales. But I am really glad that I joined, and I took it really slow. I was really careful. I actually said, like, I'm not going to sponsor anybody. I'm not going to build a team. And because that was the part that felt the most icky. But then I went to Haiti and I realized, oh my gosh, like, if I bring other women in who love this as much as I do, then we can change so many more lives. But that's a whole other like turn of thought. But really what ended up being the difference for me with Trades of Hope compared to my other experience was the artisans, and the fact that we were partnering with real people to do a bigger mission. It wasn't just about a product. It wasn't about a face wash that was going to change your life. It was about a piece of jewelry that was going to change somebody else's life. And by wearing and sharing and selling that and telling their story, I was bringing other people into the space of making a difference. And that helped me kind of get over some of the challenges that might have hung me up had I just been selling lipstick or face cream or a pot and a pan, things that are wonderful and have created great opportunities for women. But just for me personally, I needed more. And so the artisans gave me that piece, kind of a security blanket in a way, I guess, to feel confident and get over my insecurities to share. I'm a super introverted person, which most people wouldn't guess that, but I really am. I struggle, especially when I first started. I really struggled with doing parties. And I was just telling a girl today, we were just talking about this, like how hard it was at the beginning to like pull up to a house and have to like get out of my car and go into somebody's house and like talk to strangers. Like I could not stand that, but I love it now. But that was a huge obstacle at the beginning. And again, I don't think I could have done it if it was not for the artisans that we partner with. Because knowing that there's a real woman on the other side of every product, and there's a woman with children who is doing her best and wanting to contribute and wanting to make a difference in her world and lead her family with dignity and pride and do these things. It's like, okay, like every day I get up and I'm accountable to her. I'm not accountable to beautiful jewelry. I'm accountable to a person. And that's been a driving force and helped me face every potential obstacle, helped me build my resilience muscle, helped me understand that whatever is hard for me is 10 times harder for the woman that I work with. And so I can do my part. We were just at a retreat this weekend and hearing from one of our artisan partners, one of the directors of our program in the Dominican Republic. And she was telling a story of literally like being chased down the street by a man with a machete. And like, she puts herself in harm's way all the time in fights for these young girls who she's literally rescuing and helping rehabilitate from these horrible trafficking situations. And it's like, oh my gosh, she needs me to go sell a bracelet. Like I have the best part of this deal. Like I have the part that is super easy. So like, that's been the thing that's definitely made the difference for me. And then all of that is just the personal growth, the ability to, in the last 10 years, really grow up in this space, learning to be a better person, learning to be more open, learning to have those conversations with people that are more meaningful and be a better listener and be influenced by the women around me. Like it's been awesome. So yeah, I had plenty of rejection and plenty of hard things at the beginning and last week and whatever, but I really do think that the difference is the accountability to a real woman, a real person.
Mm-hmm. And you have those kinds of rejections in life in general. This isn't the only place you have them. I think this place makes us stronger to be able to handle them in other places.
That's true too.
And then what's been really cool is we're now a 12-year-old company. And so we've figured out tweaks when they listen to us so much as leaders. And so they've figured out, how do we make the training more simple? How do we get a rhythm going? We have a monthly rhythm that just makes this, we have meetings and connections and touch points that just makes this easier than it would be if you feel like you're doing it on your own. We have wake up calls weekly, and you get to hear from the founders. We have monthly things, new partner trainings, and just lots of opportunities and incentives that kind of push you past who you are, right? And things that you didn't even know were a part of who you are come alive. I didn't know I was a goal-driven person because, parenting there weren't any goals that I could meet right away with parenting. So it's so refreshing to earn a free necklace by doing something, because it's like, man, my kids never gave me free necklaces, like there's just a lot that Trades of Hope brings out in you that makes it really special, that kind of lessens the challenges, and you look at them as opportunities to overcome, especially when you have a sisterhood of women to do that with. So
absolutely.
Okay. So what's something that motivated you early on besides the mission? The mission's awesome, but there's more to Trades of Hope than just this movement that we're a part of.
Yeah, absolutely. So probably the very first time I kind of got a little taste of like, ooh, I like being recognized for something that I've done, because I certainly didn't expect it. Again, like I didn't really plan to do much with this business. Just, I was going to keep it small, keep it simple, like let it just be my little thing. But I went to the very first retreat that Trades of Hope had ever had. Like it was teeny tiny. There were 300 in the company. There were 50 people at the retreat. Like it was itty bitty. but I got recognized for like being fourth in sales for the company for the year out of like 300, but still it was like, wait, I did what? And all of a sudden in that moment, like walking up on this little stage and it was like, ooh, okay. Like, and I caught a little bug, and I wouldn't have said before that I was a highly competitive person, but it's like, I don't know, there's something about somebody saying like, hey, what you did was pretty cool, to like make you want to do it again or do it more. And what I love about Trades of Hope is that we have all these ways to shine lights on what women are doing. And it doesn't just have to be like the tippy top sellers, or, like we have all these opportunities for you to show up in small ways and in big ways and be rewarded and recognized for that. Like you can be on an artisan call every single month with just $300 in sales, which is one kind of small average party. And you can be on a Zoom call with one of our artisan partners, which are so powerful, so beautiful, and like you're recognized for being on that call, And then of course there's bigger opportunities, but I just like that everybody has this chance to kind of shine in what they can do and what they can contribute. We post about our collective contribution, and it's like literally everybody that's had a sale, like, yes, that's awesome. Like you're going to be celebrated for that. Like we're all about the celebration at Trades of Hope. And I love that.
Mm-hmm. And it's so cool to cheer each other on too, because some people maybe hear that and don't like the competition. And I would say, because I have a lot of friends and a lot of other direct sales companies, that we have just this beautiful balance between the competition of like, ooh, like, you'll meet Susan later and she's very competitive, which you wouldn't know that at first, but we've actually helped each other improve by being competitive with each other. And yet at the same time, new people who join us are like, wow, you guys are so collaborative. You share ideas with each other. Like you give, like you use similar wording or you share graphics. Well, I've never been a part of something like that. So it's so collaborative. Don't let the word competition throw you off.
Yeah.
It's just competitive enough that they want to incentivize the sales that bless the artisans. But man, we share among directors of every team. We're constantly sharing ideas. This is not one of those like stomp on other women to get to the top at all. And that's really blown me away.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree 100%.
Okay, so question 5, what has been the icing on the cake and the thing that you never saw coming?
You, Melanie, you and Susan and Spring and Veronica and Jess and like all these amazing women that I could just rattle off name after name after name that I am like genuinely friends with because of Trades of Hope. And I think like that can sound cheesy or silly, like we talk about like the sisterhood.
It's real.
It's real. I mean, there's just no two ways about it. It is the depth of the compassion and the heart of the women that are drawn to Trades of Hope. There's just a deep desire to heal the world and to do that through linking arms with other women. Like there's no way that you could not be surrounded by just like the best people. And it's made me a kinder, gentler version of myself. I love who I have grown into because of the influences of the women around me in this company. And I've got friends in my real life. I've got friends from high school and friends from college and different, circles. But the women that know me because of Trades of Hope and love me because of Trades of Hope have just taught me to be more open and more vulnerable and more loving than I ever thought possible. And that's so wonderful, not only just for me as a person and as a woman, but like how then I turn that around into my own family and with my children and my husband and my community. Like I just want to give other people that level of like care and compassion. And it's beautiful. And that's the absolute icing on my Trades of Hope cake. And it continues, even after all this time. But I also love that it's instant. It's funny. It's like, yes, I have friends, women that I've known like you, Melanie, for so many years, but then I have women that like, we did an amazing leadership retreat last July in Phoenix, and we walked into a house with 20 women that most of us had never met in person. And it was instant. It was instant just because you're there on the same page with what you're doing. And it's like, I know I'm going to like you. I know we're going to be friends. I know like you're just connected and you're hugging and you're, right to it. Like you've known each other for years. And it's the best feeling. And it's not something that I planned on. And it's definitely the icing on the cake. And I love that Trades of Hope provides spaces for that to occur. We're currently doing these regional events. Blossom, I just had our first one in Florida. So I was there this weekend, and I know Melanie's like, feeling the FOMO. So we're going, are you going to Pittsburgh?
No, Minneapolis.
So a bunch of us are going to be in Minneapolis. Pittsburgh is in 2 weeks. Minneapolis is in 2 weeks after that. And it's just great, like, to be in that space. The Guatemala trip, we've got Guatemala Vision trip next summer in August. They just released a third set of dates. There will probably be a fourth set of dates.
So technically, if you join now, you could qualify for a Guatemala trip. Like that's crazy to think about, because they make the qualifications so doable because they want everyone to have access to that. So, and the other thing I was going to add to what you're saying, first of all, the comments are going crazy about all of our friends who love the sisterhood. I'm telling you, we're not paying them to say this. The type of people that are drawn to Trades of Hope are just high quality women. And if you're here and you've been invited to that, someone thinks you're a high quality woman too, which is super cool. Sure. I will also say we do a lot of like in-person stuff, which is awesome. But those are fewer than and farther between, like our monthly Zoom calls and things like that. So when COVID came along and the whole world shut down, our Trades of Hope friends were like, oh, we know how to do this. Like, we've already done this. Like, Erin lives in Florida. I live in Tucson, Arizona. Like, we've never lived in the same place, but we are so used to being connected meaningfully online that we didn't have a hitch about like staying connected. And we've got messenger groups going like crazy. We're laughing, we're throwing gifts down, like all of that stuff. And it was just natural for us because we had already created this nationwide sisterhood. And so COVID was not hard on us as far as relationships were concerned because we had that. And so it's been neat to see that continue to develop. And now we're getting the in-person stuff going again, which is just so fun. And Erin's still coming off the high of that, 2 days ago, 2 or 3 days.
Yeah, so, just this past weekend.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
So, so we've got lots of women sharing their experiences in the comments, and that can definitely add to what Erin's saying. It's just been such a blessing to be a part of this. We want to respect your time and keep things. We've done a pretty good job for Erin and I to share a lot. So why don't you share kind of some of the concluding stuff, and then we will have a frequently asked question post if you want to like ask some more questions about specific things that Erin mentioned or things that haven't been mentioned yet. We'll put that post up soon.
Definitely. There's a post in the group already. It's the one that has the join collections in it that talks more about like the business things. It's pretty straightforward, no minimums. To remain active, you need one sale in every 12 months. Like, it's really, really simple. I would definitely say speak to the woman that invited you here too, if you have some specific questions. This I'm holding up is the floral wristlet, which is one of my very favorite pieces of all time. It's got this fun little magic hidden wrist strap, and it's this beautiful block printed leather. We will be giving this away to anyone who joins as a partner by February 1st at midnight. So once you become official, and I know some of you already have, just drop a "I'm in" on that post, and I will be doing the drawing for this I won't be doing it at midnight, but I'll be doing it the next morning. And I hope that you hear our hearts. I hope you loved our first invitation to hope. Thank you, Melanie, for interviewing me. It was really fun and kind of felt indulgent, but wonderful to share. Something that I love so much, we all love so much. We could all talk for days about Trades of Hope. But truly, like from our hearts, if this feels like something that's resonating with you, I hope that you jump in and join us tonight. But if you need to sleep on it. If you wake up in the morning and you're thinking about Trades of Hope, like it might be something you want to try. And from somebody who was super hesitant, who just really wanted to just like gently dip my toe in, I can tell you the water's fine, and you just never know. You never know where this will take you. And it's one of those little risks that might change your life and be absolutely shockingly worth it and surprise you from all angles, because that is certainly what it has been for me in this past season.
And one last thing, someone asked what time zone by the end of tonight. I wanted to let you know that every new partner who joins in 1 month, so we have the end of the month here, gets to be on an artisan Zoom call. And in February, it's our Peruvian artisans. And there's some of our newer artisans, like I haven't even heard from them yet. So I'm so excited to be on that call. So if you are like, I'm in, I would recommend you join tonight so that you can be in on that call in February. If you choose to join in February, no problem. Then you'll be on the March call. But if you really want to like just get in and see what we're all about, really there's not much of a risk at all. You get beautiful products. They're at a great discount, but I would encourage you. And I think that you were asking time zone. It's Pacific time, right?
Yeah.
Pacific time midnight. So you still have some time to
talk
over with somebody or whatever
hours
you
and
need to
hours.
do. Yeah, but we'd love to have you. And we'd love to have you on that Zoom call so you can really get a taste of not just partners, but artisans and what a difference it's making in their lives.
I'm excited to hear from Peru as well.
Yay.
Well, thank you, Melanie. Thank you, everyone. We appreciate you so
guys.
much. And please, any questions, someone is here to answer them. We'll see you in the group.
Bye.
Bye.